Imagine you end up getting rejected by your crush and your best friend both in a single day. So that's what happens with Maru, our boy who, at the start, was basically an ugly useless fool. Yep, man got humbled harder than your Wi-Fi when you need it most. He faced the most humiliating rejection from his crush, his best friend and even her sister, and honestly, somehow this clown eventually pulls off a full-on idol-type glow-up and rizzes up the entire school. But before that, he was living in Delula land, thinking he could get any girl even if she is way out of his league. He had so much confidence that he actually rejected his best friend just to confess to his crush. Bold move, but karma said, nah, because guess what? His crush picked a celebrity who was way hotter, taller, richer, and probably even smelled better than him. Feeling betrayed, Maru teams up with his bestie Kuro, who also hates his crush, and they both team up to cook up a revenge plan. Next day, he meets up with Kuro to plan their evil schemes. He's like, we gotta find Abe's weakness and expose him so the whole school sees what a fraud Kachi's dating. And Kuro, being the supportive childhood friend she is, hypes him up but tell him that if you only focus on revenge, you'll end up empty inside. Basically saying, get a real girl, not just a pretty one. So, Kuro suggests, let's tell everyone that we are dating, basically a fake date. That'll make her jealous. Bro gets shy, but then suddenly Kuro leans in for a kiss, trying to give him some motivation. But just as their lips were about to lock, Maru freezes and remembers his crush and chickens out. Later, Maru rages outside, screaming about destroying Abe, only to realize that Abe has been standing behind him the whole time. Plot twist. And not only does Abe recognize him, but he also reveals that he used to be Maru's biggest fan back when he was a child actor. Abe literally says, you were my inspiration, bro. But because Abe had zero acting talent unlike Maru, so he started hating him and went full stalker mode. He even enrolled in Maru's school just to steal Kachi, purely out of spite. Maru gets pissed, like, what does Kachi even see in this dude? He's mid at best. But Abe makes it worse by announcing he's gonna confess to Kachi at the school festival. Bruh, this man is speedrunning the villain arc. So, Maru turns to his best bro Tetsu, signing up as an actor for the festival play. Meanwhile, Kachi just watches with a disappointed face like she's realizing all men are trash. Maru, being the simp king he is, gets down on his knees and apologizes not for ghosting, but because he needs Kachi to help write their festival play script. Smooth recovery, my guy. She agrees, but only if he pays her a fee. Capitalism, baby. Later, she texts him to discuss script details over a call. And Maru? He was acting like a 14-year-old talking to his crush on Discord for the first time. That's when Kuroha, who lives next door, casually barges in, demanding food only to find his place looking like a hoarder's nest. So Kuroha, being the responsible childhood friend and part-time mom, helps Maru clean his disaster of a room. But while picking up his trash pile, she stumbles across a photo of little Maru standing next to some famous actor's son. Maru explains the backstory, but Kuroha's like, ain't no way you had that much drip to be chilling with celebrities. She basically doesn't believe this man has ever been cool a day in his life. Just then Kachi calls, and Maru, being the smooth liar that he is, tells Kuroha that he's just about to call Tetsu. Bro lying like it's his second nature. He runs to his room to take Kachi's call, but Kuroha was out there yelling across the apartment like a nosy neighbor, making sure he cannot enjoy a single second of his "this is my crush, be quiet" moment. So Kachi, clearly frustrated with the background circus, says, fine, let's just talk in the library later. When Maru hangs up, he admits the truth to Kuro. She hits him with the classic open your eyes speech, telling him Kachi is acting all weird, and this might actually be a team up with Abe to sabotage him. Even the script she's writing might be a setup just to make Maru flop harder than Morbius at the box office. Kuro discourages him from acting but still reassures him, don't worry, you may be useless, but you're my useless. And then things get cozy. Real cozy. Maru, being the coward he is, tries to kiss her but pulls back again like, nah, bro, you're allergic to W's at this point. But Kuro's not backing down. She's literally about to have her way with him just when Kachi's message interrupts them. Later, Maru goes to school to practice his lines but faints right on stage. He wakes up in the infirmary with Kachi at his bedside. She tells him it's fine, and shows that she's finished writing the script. He thanks her but she's like, pay up, broke boy. And this man? He's so poor he's out here surviving on coupons. He begs, but Kachi shuts him down, saying the real payment is for him to explain why he quit acting. Maru reluctantly spills, back when he was a kid, he and his mom got cast as mother and son in a drama. But then tragedy struck, his mom died in an accident. The drama almost got cancelled, but Maru begged them to continue for her sake. The show blew up, broke records, but he never acted again because the loss crushed him. Kachi was moved to tears, hands him the script, and walked away. But little does Maru knew that Kuroha has been eavesdropping the whole time, and she looks ready to self-destruct with jealousy. Meanwhile, Kachi's on her way home, reminiscing about her childhood. She remembers being a talentless kid until she became Maru's biggest fan. Her dad even took her to meet him, and they became friends. She promised one day she'd make him the star of her play, but when Maru ghosted her, she swore to level up and spite him for leaving her. That's when she realized those feelings were actually love. Yep, Maru was her first love. With tears in her eyes, she internally confesses that love is a curse. Finally, the day of the festival arrives. Abe, that certified hater, warns Maru that he's tell him that whatever he's plotting will absolutely destroy Maru's spirits. Later, everyone's arriving, and Maru almost gets folded by some buff dude who has a crush on Kuroha. But Maru's focus was on Kachi. That's when Tetsu pulls him aside, saying someone's looking for him. When Maru follows up, he finds a mysterious creep hiding his face and only speaking with that deep voice filter. So, the mysterious masked voice finally reveals itself. Maru recognizes it instantly. Wait, that's Tuaro? My childhood friend I ghosted. Man tries to get closer, but Tuaro, aka Mr. Mysterious, steps back and hits him with the emotional damage. You abandoned me, bro. Remember your promise to star in my play. Then Tuaro flexes like he just came back from a Rocky training montage. I leveled up and became the baddest writer. And boom, plot twist of the year, he walks down the stairs and reveals his true self. Turns out Tuaro was actually Kachi this whole time. Maru had been confused because he misheard her name as a kid, and let's be real, her childhood looks weren't exactly cover model material. Anyway, Kachi explains that she leveled herself up, wanting a grand comeback. But she found out that Kuro was into Maru, and that low-key disappointed her. Still, before leaving, she encourages him to give his best on their first script together. On the staircase, Kachi bumps into Kuro, and instantly sparks fly. The petty energy is so strong, they could power an entire shonen arc. Kuro stirs drama out of nowhere, fueled by jealousy, and eventually slaps Maru so hard it does a factory reset on his brain. She declares, "This is the end of our fake relationship." Then, like the true dramatic queen she is, she walks away, telling him she'll watch from the stands. Now it's festival confession event time. And let me tell you, this stage is just a graveyard of failed simps. One by one, dudes line up to embarrass themselves in front of their crushes. Peak second-hand embarrassment. Then Abe hits the stage and whole hall goes into chaos as he confesses to Kachi through a full-on musical performance. And Kachi? She's sitting there like, mid, could not care less. But before Abe can finish his love ballad, Maru storms on stage and challenges him. The audience gasps, no way this data pack is actually going to perform. And somehow, Maru doesn't flop. He slays. He performs way better than anyone thought possible. For once, the man actually shines. But then comes the twist, Maru confesses. He admits he was jealous of Kachi being with Abe and wanted revenge. But deep down, the person who truly matters to him is Kuro. And in the most embarrassing move of his life, he screams out his love for her like a drunk karaoke session at 2 a.m. The audience was stunned. Twitter would have exploded. But instead of blushing and saying yes, Kuro goes full savage mode and rejects him. Instant KO. Maru collapses emotionally like a clown who just realized the circus left him behind. Afterward, Tetsu pulls Abe aside and asks, "Bro, why'd you play the villain in this whole Maru-Kachi saga?" Abe confesses, plot twist number 78, that he and Kachi were never even dating. She's like a sister to him. They only pretended to be a couple so Maru would get jealous. And Abe? He's actually a huge Maru fan. He just wanted to push him back into acting again. Meanwhile, Kuro rejected Maru purely for revenge because he'd rejected her earlier. And so, Maru ends up the biggest loser alive. He's left crying, broken, and humiliated in front of the entire school. The event ends, but the trauma doesn't. Maru had literal nightmares about his public burial on stage. But he's not the only one hurting. Kuro beats herself up for destroying the guy she actually likes, and Kachi sulks because despite her 4D chess schemes, she got checkmate. At the end of the day, neither of the girls really blame Maru, but Maru can't forgive himself. To make it worse, the next morning, Tetsu shows him the internet receipts. Bro has gone viral worldwide for being the guy who got dumped a million times. Maru's rage meter fills up and he's about to send Tetsu straight to the afterlife. But then, salvation walks through the classroom door. A new girl arrives and hops straight onto Maru's body, and suddenly maybe, just maybe our boy has another chance at not being the universal loser. So, the new mystery cutie? Turns out she's Momosaka Maria, another idol Maru somehow knows. And she's been missing him all this time, until his viral stage humiliation dropped, and now she just had to pull up. Kachi and Kuro instantly get drenched in jealousy. They demand answers like angry girlfriends, but Momo just smirks, calls them Maru's exes, and casually says she's here to replace them. Bruh, straight disrespectful. And the worst part? Maru tries to do damage control, explaining that he used to be like a big brother to Momo, teaching her some acting tricks, but Momo takes the mic back back and drops the nuke. Oh, he taught me more than acting. And just to finish him off, she confesses Maru was actually her first love. This man really out here collecting first loves like Pokemon. After the chaos, Maru forgives Tetsu on one condition, that he gets him pizza. Tetsu caves, but plot twist, another girl named Rina arrives and introduces herself with a business card and tells Maru he can call her anytime for services. And yes, Maru immediately thinks she's talking about the kind of service that'd make this video demonetized. But nope, Rina's just a clout chaser, betting that Maru might become the next big celebrity. So she's investing early. As if things weren't insane enough, Kachi walks up to Maru with the most flustered expression ever. Before she can even speak, Maru's male classmates start barking in jealousy. Then she drops the bomb. "Mu, go out with me." An entire room freezes. This is the almighty Kachi we're talking about. But her friend Mio rushes in like, wait, that came out wrong. What Kachi actually meant was that she wants to take Maru to meet her dad, who also happens to be his old sponsor. Bro, why is it always the fridge protecting the snacks? Our boy just went from date proposal to meet the parents in one misquote. At that exact moment, Kuroha shows up. Kachi smirks, taunts her, and as she gets closer to Maru, his PTSD kicks in. Man, he literally transforms into a scared little puppy, hiding behind Kachi like, "Protect me please." Kachi, not missing her chance to assert dominance, sneers at Kuroha and warns her, "After what you did to Maru, stay away, or I'll hit you with African voodoo." Skull poor Kuro just stands there defenseless, tears in her eyes, before sadly walking away. Meanwhile, Maru goes home and notices his doors unlocked. Inside, Momo in maid cosplay, offering him dinner and herself for dessert. Man's like, "Where'd you even get my key?" But she dodges the question like a pro. Instead, she serves him food using recipes she learned from his late mother. Turns out, she was also the one who shut down the paparazzi earlier. But Maru's suspicious. He asks why she's really here. Momo drops another bomb. She needs his help. Maru panics, thinking she's in big trouble, but no. She hands him a business card from a top industry boss. This big shot wants Maru back in the spotlight and also developed interest in Kuroha's talent after watching the viral video. So, she gives Maru 2 cards, one for him, one for Kuro. And just as the plot thickens, Kuro's sisters barge in looking distressed. They announce that Kuro has basically lost her mind and developed amnesia, acting all weird, eating abnormally. Maru freaks out, demanding details. But before they can explain further, Momo interrupts. And instantly, the sisters turn on him, ready to boil him alive because they're convinced Maru is just a womanizer dreaming of his own harem. So, Kuroha's sisters were still roasting Maru alive for ruining their precious Kuro, especially the eldest one, Mia. But then they realized that Mamosaka Maria, an actual celebrity, was standing in front of them. Instantly, they switch from "let's kill Maru" to "OMG, can I get a selfie?" Except Midori, who stays in serious mode. Midori continues explaining Kuroha's condition. She literally can't remember anything between the time Maru rejected her and the festival drama where she tried to clap back. Basically, selective amnesia, but make it anime style. The sisters are furious, declaring Maru doesn't even deserve to keep breathing after humiliating her in public. Before they storm out, one of them, AKO, softens up and tells him she'll actually be proud if he returns to showbiz. Yeah, they'll miss him, but she wants him to choose wisely and with a positive mindset. Next morning, Kuroha herself pulls up. She apologizes to Maru, saying she doesn't remember the festival, but after rewatching the viral video, she realized rejecting him was a loser move because she still kinda likes him. She leans in to hold him, but Maru dodges like she just coughed without a mask on. She takes the hint, backs off, but tells him they should start over. Now you'd think Maru would remember the emotional destruction this girl put him through a few days ago, but nah. This man really said, "Emotional damage who?" and begs her not to leave his side. Bro is the definition of down bad. Later, Kachi comes to pick him up, still salty toward Kuroha. Maru tries to play peacemaker, like, "Come on girls, can't we all just be besties?" And both of them immediately prove the age-old truth. Anime girls don't share. They sit in the car throwing cold shoulders until Kachi suddenly says she doesn't believe Kuroha's amnesia is real. Maru's like, "Let's test it." Then the scene shifts to their library date. Maru serves Kuroha an octopus meal she always hated before. If she really had amnesia, she won't react. And boom, she eats it like it was gourmet sushi. But of course, Kachi and Tetsu walk in right at that moment. And Kachi nearly loses it hearing Maru's considering acting again. Tetsu tries to clown, and instantly gets bonked on the head by Maru, who roasts him like, "Bruh, you talk all this smack about girls when you can't even bag someone at NPC level." Later, the squad sits down to hear Tetsu's big idea, making an entertainment club. Does logic? Kachi's always wanted to write a play starring Maru, so why not create a club as their base? Sounds wholesome, too wholesome. The girls instantly SUS him out, wondering why he's suddenly cooking up selfless ideas. But Maru tells them to give it up. Tetsu's a schemer, and he'll only spill the truth when he's ready. And just like that, entertainment club is formed. Their plan was that Maru will return to his old agency, present the club, and try to bag sponsors. Tetsu insists on tagging along but stays all mysterious about his real reason. Kachi also jumps in, saying she wants details firsthand. The gang pulls up at the agency with Momo too. Finally, the CEO arrives and drops some giga-chat advice like, drop out of school. All the top 10 Forbes guys did it. Bro really trying to turn this kid into Elon Musk. So, the CEO dude turns his greasy attention to Kuroha, offering her a spot in the industry. She's all polite and says, "Nah, I'm good." But this man hits her with, "You could be a multimillionaire in 3 years." And then, just to make it spicier, he says Maru would make triple that. Maru's brain instantly was like, wait, triple? That's like so much money to goof around. While Kachi and Kuroha are just staring at him like, this man is actually brain dead. Then Greasy crosses the line. He starts insisting, even broke shaming Kuroha like, wow, no manners, no money, what do you even have? And that's it. Maru goes full Gordon Ramsay mode, grabs a wine bottle, and empties it on his head. He's like, talk smack about my childhood bestie again and I'll baptize you with Merlot every time. Su gets mad, calls Maru and his squad scum. But Tetsu ain't having it. He grabs this dude by the collar like he's about to throw him in WWE SmackDown. Maru calms him down just as the guy's phone rings. But surprise twist, Kachi's dad walks in, and he's actually the sponsor wanting Maru for an ad. Rich Dad Ex Machina saves the day. He hears the whole story, and luckily Momo jumps in with a fantastic idea, a commercial contest. If Maru wins, Greasy drops the beef. If Maru loses, he works for the slime ball. But then Momo turns around and delivers betrayal that, yeah sure, I'll join the agency's commercial. She really said enemy spotted and switched sides like a Pokemon. While they're planning, we get Momo's backstory. Turns out she grew up in an abusive home, only had her older sis, then got scouted by the agency. And that's where she met Maru. He hyped her up, told her to live confidently, and she promised she would until he randomly quit acting. Classic Maru L moment. Back in the present, Momo and her sis watch Maru's first draft of the ad. It's good, but not quite hitting the central theme. She calls him out to fix things, and Maru clutches up by dropping a zombie apocalypse energy drink ad and somehow it works. She instantly knows he's gonna cook, and when the contest goes live, Maru's commercial gets double the votes. Later, Tetsu pulls Kachi's dad aside and reveals his motives. He made the entertainment club because Greasy CEO is actually his dad, and he wants his agency to fail. Bra is literally sabotaging his own bloodline. And now with Kachi's dad backing them, Tetsu's plan is basically working. On his way out, he bumps into Abe who's like, yo, so who's really winning in all this chaos? And Tetsu straight up says, Kuroha. Then he explains the wildest twist yet. Kuroha faked her amnesia with him. She pretended to forget everything just so she could get closer to Maru and trigger Greasito into insulting her, knowing Maru would lose it. A master plan of emotional manipulation. With their recent goals achieved, Tetsu points out that Kuroha isn't the only winner. Momo has also broken free from the agency and officially transferred to their school. This nearly earns him another round of punishment from Kuroha and Kachi, but he explains that he only encouraged Momo to join them because she needed to be rescued from the agency's director. However, Momo admits that wasn't her main reason at all. She just wanted to be close to the love of her life. Naturally, this sparks immediate outrage from both Kuroha and Kachi, and Maru bolts for safety. He's saved by Rina, who asks him why he still hangs around Tetsu when the two of them clearly don't get along. Maru replies that Tetsu is the only one who isn't trying to take advantage of his fame and has always stood by him in his own way. The next day, Maru learns the truth that Kuroha never really had amnesia. Furious, he confronts her, but despite the heated argument, he still doesn't fully understand her reasons. Left frustrated, he lies awake trying to piece it together. One part of him believes she only faked amnesia to save their relationship, while another warns him she's hiding something darker and might just hurt him again. Meanwhile, Kachi receives a call from Abe, who points out that she's losing ground in the love triangle now that Maru and Kuroha are back to their old closeness. He asks if she wants his help, and she agrees, saying she has an idea, and he agrees so long as it benefits him too. The following day, Tetsu officially inducts Momo into the entertainment club and explains that members will have voting rights to approve new additions. For their first activity, he proposes a swimming trip combined with a stage performance to promote the club. The girls immediately protest, calling out the boys for obvious ulterior motives, but after a vote, the plan passes, leading Kachi to suspect Maru of betraying them with his vote. The trip was set for a 3-day weekend. Kuroha says she can't attend because her sisters need her at home, but Tetsu suggests they bring them along. Maru is thrilled about the idea, but still can't escape Kuroha's sharp tongue. She mocks him for being the lowest-ranking student in class both academically and socially. When they ask about the location, Tetsu reveals that Kachi's father offered his residence. This makes Kuroha suspicious that Tetsu and Kachi are secretly working together, but Kachi denies it, and Maru sides with her. Hurt by his lack of trust, Kuroha grows even more frustrated. Later, one of Kuroha's sisters comes over to help Maru clean his place. During dinner, she asks about his relationship with Kuroha, and he explains the messy story. She listens with little patience and finally tells him that both he and Kuroha are at fault, though Maru especially struggles with trust. She advises him to be more understanding, not to make reckless choices, and to be certain of his feelings before claiming he's truly in love. Finally, Rina warns Maru to keep his guard up. Since he and Kuro are fighting, the other girls might use the chance to seduce him. Bro's going on vacation with literal final boss-level temptations. Meanwhile, Tetsu has a quiet talk with Kachi's father, begging him not to reveal his biggest secret, that Rina is actually his sister. Later, Kachi calls Tetsu, thanking him for helping her with her plan, but also teases him that her revenge arc has just begun. Step 19, making Maru confess his love for her when Kuro isn't around. The trip day finally arrives, and Momo's sister threatens Maru with a kitchen knife's worth of energy, warning him not to even look at another girl unless he wants to be tonight's sausage dinner. At the mall, Kachi casually throws shade, saying it's shocking Momo can even cook since she looks like a spoiled celebrity brat. Momo takes offense and immediately challenges her to a cook-off. Tetsu, overhearing, wishes Maru good luck because clearly, someone's getting poisoned tonight. Maru protests, saying it's unfair unless Tetsu agrees to taste test too. Tetsu notices Maru zoning out and correctly guesses that he's thinking about Kuro. He jokingly tells Maru to just keep everyone happy with a harem ending. Maru insists he's not that kind of guy, but deep down every dude watching knows ain't nobody passing on a harem route. Unknown to them, Momo and Rina were eavesdropping. Momo realizes she can't outshine Kachi or Kuro head-on, so she decides to sneak in from the sidelines. While those two fight for Maru's heart, she'll quietly get closer. When they arrive at Kachi's villa, Maru basically activates peasant mode, drooling over the luxury like it's the first time he's seen a mansion. Inside, Kachi handles the room assignments, while Kuro and her sisters get their own area. Out on the balcony, Tetsu casually throws Maru into the pool, sparking a round of playful chaos. Meanwhile, Kuro's stuck at home, and Maru and others head to beach. Her sister teases her that Maru's probably surrounded by girls in bikinis. Just the thought of Maru seeing the treasure you all want to see had Kuro nearly demolishing the house in rage, forcing her sister to call for backup before she self-destructs. Back at the beach, Rina makes her entrance in a stunning swimsuit. Maru's eyes linger a little too long, and Tetsu nearly decapitates him on the spot for staring his sister for too long. Later, they regroup for practice. Momo's performance was flawless, showing her talent. Then Kachi steps up with, let's just say, some grandma-level dance moves that make Maru silently question his entire taste in women. When it's Maru's turn to dance, he casually nails the moves like some prodigy. The others can't believe it. Why would the gods give this clown talent too? Peak main character privilege moment. Afterwards, he encourages Kachi to picture someone she wants to dance for, so it feels more natural and meaningful. Later, Maru runs into Momo, who's prepping for the big cooking contest. She asks for his help, but as soon as he hears that Kachi ran off without a word, he abandons Momo on the spot. Poor girl, she didn't even get past the tutorial level of, help me, senpai. He finds Kachi alone on the beach, sulking about how her cooking is garbage tier and basically disqualifies her from anime waifu category. Maru overhears her and gently tells her she doesn't need to be perfect all the time. She had even learned how to make his favorite fried chicken. So, he reassures her that it's more than enough. Just as they're about to share a tender kiss, Maru remembers the sage advice from Kuro's sister, beware the women trying to seduce you, and he awkwardly pulls away. My guy really chose moral compass at the worst possible moment. That night, when he's half asleep, Kuro and her sisters suddenly show up, scaring him half to death. For some reason, Kuro immediately feels like picking a fight, but her sister restrains her before the house turns into WWE SummerSlam. The next next day, the girls practice their dance routine. Maru compliments Kachi on how much better she's gotten, which Kuro overhears and it doesn't sit well with her. So, she hatches her own little plan. Later, she appears in a swimsuit, leaving Maru's eyes struggling to stay focused on just one girl. Kuro's self-esteem gets speedrun to 0, so she storms off and drags Maru with her. In the bushes, she vents, asking why he never trusts her. Maru says it's because she lied about the amnesia, and instead of apologizing, she's been gaslighting him ever since. That's when Kuro suddenly flips the switch, pinning him to the ground, declaring war, and promising to shower him with so much love he'll regret ever doubting her. Bro expected an apology and got the naughty girlfriend update instead. At the beach, she sneaks up on him and confesses her love over and over until Maru's practically allergic to "I love you." But despite the overdose, something changes. Kuro's persistence breaks through Maru's tough walls, and he realizes she's always been in his corner. She even prepared study questions focusing on his weak points, proving she's the reason he managed to get into high school despite his first-grader brain. Later, Aoi and Kon help Maru and Tetsu set up the stage for the show. As the sun sets, Maru notices Kachi practicing even though her feet are clearly in pain. He asks Midori to check on her injuries, but later finds Kachi pushing through anyway. Eavesdropping, he hears her say that she'll take it easy on Maru and focus on supporting him when he needs it. Still, she practices with determination, wounds and all, wanting to prove she's strong and independent, not just a girl chasing his attention. Kachi finally admits that this whole first love mess is eating her alive, and while Maru watches her determination, he actually gets in his feelings and sheds a tear. Yep, the clown's got emotions too. Meanwhile, Akone observes from afar, confessing to her sister that she kind of has feelings for Maru as well, but there's no way she can compete with the endless parade of girls falling over him. So, she decides to numb her pain and suffer in silence, especially since even two of her own sisters are also caught up in this Maru fever dream. The next morning, Kuro tries to get Maru's attention, but he walks straight past her and checks on Kachi's injured foot instead. Watching this, Kuro feels her heart crack a little, but she keeps her composure and joins Kachi and Momo for their video shoot like nothing happened. The shoot goes surprisingly well, but Kachi stumbles mid-performance, and Maru rushes in to catch her only to injure himself in the process. Everyone panics and scrambles to get him treated. Later, Abe meets with Tetsu to discuss updates on Maru's love life. The obvious answer? Even though she kept messing up her routines, the fact that she never stopped giving her best effort has started to look really attractive to him. Things escalate when Kachi's father decides that since Maru got hurt saving Kachi, she should take responsibility, meaning Maru will now be moving into her house. Kuro tries to protest, but it's pointless, as Kachi's father already cleared things with his own dad, so the decision is final. Later in the bathroom, Maru goes feral with fantasies of all the romantic activities he and Kachi could end up doing. But before he can finish his mental fanfic, the girls barge in and ruin the moment. Momo assumes he just has a bad case of food poisoning and jokes that one of the other girls must have cursed him with their terrible cooking. Later, Kuro's sisters visit to drop off some things, but when Maru tries talking to them, they avoid him. Midori explains they're probably tired of his chronic womanizing. Kuro shows up to console him afterwards, whispering borderline dirty things in his ear while he's still recovering. But then she gets a call from her mom. She can't stay at Kachi's house any longer. Momo gets the same order and is forced to leave too. Before heading out, she warns Maru to keep his emotions controlled. When he gets inside, Kachi's maid gives him an earful, calling him a shameless and warning him not to mistake Kachi's respect for love. Maru's unimpressed, thinking the maid might actually be dumber than he is. Kachi walks in mid-roast, so they instantly fake like everything's normal. She tells them she's going to change clothes, and the beef between Maru and the maid resumes right after. Meanwhile, Kuro was stewing after Kachi's earlier words. Kachi had pulled her aside and coldly reminded her that she had no advantage at all, because being next door doesn't matter when she'll be the one actually sharing a bed with Maru tonight. The next day, the Association of Moronic Simps gathers with banners to welcome Momo to their school, thrilled just to breathe the same air as her. But the second they see her all lovey-dovey with Maru, they flip into an angry mob. Luckily, Kachi shows up and scares them off, also telling Momo to return to class. Kachi personally feeds Maru, which makes Kuro burn with envy from across the room. But Maru notices Kachi's maid nearby and remembers her warning not to confuse Kachi's respect for genuine love. Uneasy, he steps out of class, only for Kuro to chase after him. She bluntly asks if he spent the night buried in Kachi's sheets. Maru flatly denies it, saying Kachi forced him to listen to boring classical music all night instead. Honestly, death might have been the better option. So, while Maru and Kuro are talking things out, he tells them to meet up for an urgent talk. Turns out, some media houses are requesting an interview with Maru. They want to grill him about why he dipped from the spotlight and then suddenly popped back in like a DLC character. Kuro instantly says, "Nah, that's insensitive, because it would mean dragging up Maru's old trauma." And honestly, Maru himself isn't interested either. He's like, "Media? Hard pass." To fix this, Tetsu pulls a big brain move. He suggests they release the documentary themselves. That way, Maru controls the story and doesn't let vultures twist it. They even rewatch the original unfinished movie about his life. Back then, Kid Maru was too young to finish the role that required a slightly older him, so the gang decides, fine, we'll shoot the rest ourselves and skip the corporate clowns. Later, Kuro rallies the girls' squad, Kachi and Momo, for a little sit-down. They all agree to chill out on the Maru obsession because, let's be real, this dude's already drowning in estrogen. But then Momo's like, "Heh, I got a plan for Maru's documentary." Spoiler, it's not just a plan, it's a sneaky trap to gain the upper hand in this Maru Olympics. Meanwhile, Kachi's maid Cheyenne activates her final boss energy. She straight up signs her name on Maru's bandages like she's branding cattle. Of course, Kuro walks in right at that exact moment, sees the scene, and delivers a world-class anime slap. At lunch, the gang gets an emergency text from Tetsu. Apparently, someone else already dropped a fake Maru documentary, and who else but that clown director who made Maru rage quit acting in the first place. This fraud even lies, saying Maru's mom got into an accident on set, which isn't the whole story. The squad's ready to riot, but Tetsu calms them down and says he'll handle the director. Good news though, another major studio is actually interested in doing it properly. Maru gives the green light, and the girls decide to help by interviewing him themselves. First up is Kachi. She reminds Maru about a childhood adventure where he dragged her to see a tower. She was terrified, but Maru was like, "Don't be scared, trust me." It was one of those character-defining moments. She finishes her heartfelt story, and they lean in for the kiss of destiny, but then they remember, oh yeah, we're live. So they schedule a date instead. Smooth recovery. Afterwards, they come home looking like they just lost their innocence at summer camp. Cheyenne the maid notices this suspicious aura and immediately interrogates Maru like she's CIA. But when she spots a cute picture of Kachi, she suddenly switches sides, promising to be nicer to Maru in exchange for the pic. Meanwhile, Kachi was over the moon. She's convinced the tower date sealed the deal. She even leans in for a kiss the next morning, until Momo barges in like bad luck wrapped in pink hair. And of course, she starts feeling up Maru's abs. Yes, apparently our boy is secretly shredded and things they are doing don't look so good at all. Momo later drags Maru on her own date. She's hyped as this was her idea, her strategy, her chance to flex. She recalls how hard she always worked to be good enough for him, even learning his favorite foods when his mom was still around. But then she pulls the heavy card. She takes him to the very spot where his mother's accident happened. And instead of avoiding the pain, she asks Maru to open up and share everything. Her whole plan? To be the one who stands by him through his darkest memory. So, Momo takes Maru to the accident site, and that's when things get really heavy. Maru finally opens up about how he lost his mom. He explains that she literally worked herself to death for her acting role, and while he tried his best to carry her dream by finishing the movie, grief just wrecked him. Bro couldn't even save the project because his heart wasn't in it anymore. Hearing all this, Momo feels like the worst person alive. She realizes she's always been selfish, making Maru's sudden disappearance all about her instead of actually trying to understand him. She just breaks down, sobbing, and apologizes for being so blind. She admits she really loved Maru's mom too, because to her, she was the perfect image of the mother she never had. That's it, Maru can't hold it in anymore either. He breaks down crying too, and the two of them collapse into a warm, emotional embrace. Afterwards, Momo swears she won't tell anyone that our boy bawled like a baby. Back at home, things lighten up again. They start teasing each other and romance vibes keep loading until Cheyenne the maid shows up, kicks down the door like she's the romance police, and ruins the whole mood. They manage to distract her with some photos, but not before she lands a kick on Maru that honestly qualifies her for the new Black Widow. Forget maid, she should be in the CIA. At school, Tetsu brings in updates that the girls will be performing in the upcoming play, and now that the media chaos has calmed down, it's time to move quickly. Later, Kuro takes Maru out on her date. They go for a walk while she reflects on how she's loved him since elementary school, long before he was famous. To her and her sisters, Maru wasn't a star, he was just family. Even when people trashed him after his sudden disappearance, their feelings for him didn't change. She eventually leads him to a cave. Turns out, Maru recognizes it instantly. As kids, this was his comfort zone, the secret hideout where they played and laughed away the world. They sit together for a while, reliving those peaceful memories. Then Kuro takes him out to the field, and boom, the confession time. She tells him she's serious this time, no games. Maru, confused, asks why she rejected him back at the festival. Kuro admits it was just petty revenge for when he turned her down in class. Why do rom-com anime characters out here keep inventing side quests for heartbreak? Maru, with tears in his eyes, says he always hated how Kuro kept everything bottled up instead of just telling him. But now, hearing her true feelings, he's relieved. Kuro presses him for an answer, but the dude freezes, because he remembers, oh right, he has two other main heroines who've confessed to him and he is also in love with all of them. Mans out here is now totally completely confused about what love even is. Kuro notices his hesitation. She says if he can't answer in under 10 seconds, then clearly he isn't fully committed to her and is thinking about someone else. Then she softens and admits life isn't so black and white. Instead, she offers a loophole, a situationship. She'll be his childhood girlfriend, which means she technically qualifies to date him in the future when the stars align. Maru's like, bet, because to him, that means he gets affection without committing. But Kuro smacks him with the fine print. If he ever kisses her, then boom, they're officially a couple. And oh yeah, it has to stay a secret. Our boy's about to unlock the childhood friend harem, but with hidden terms and conditions. The next day, Abe tells Tetsu that after watching Maru's documentary, he noticed Kuro's play here was genius. She didn't get rejected, didn't get fully accepted either, but secured herself as a possible romance slot for the future. Basically, she signed up for love insurance. Tetsu also tells Maru he's got a whole fan club of random girls thirsting over him at school. But let's be real, his three main heroines won't even let those extras breathe near him. So, what do you guys think? Will these girls ever escape Maru's friend zone? Or is he doomed to live in a permanent anime harem purgatory? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like anime recaps, don't forget to check out other videos, and yes, do like this video as it would keep motivating me to do more fun recaps.